Welcome to CBS Sports HQ, presented by Penske. When you gain the right transportation partner, your business gains grounds. Week 16 in the NFL is on tap. We have 4 teams that have clinched a playoff spot so far, 6 teams that have been eliminated, and everyone else floating somewhere in between. It is time to get Week 16 picks from Pete Prisco and Brady Quinn, taking a look at how they did last week. First, actually, we're going to talk about the Thursday night NFL games and Saturday games we have coming up. It's the holiday week. This is like a week where you don't actually work. We're working, though. You get the Saints at the Rams. That's basically a plan for both of those teams into the playoffs. We'll talk about that in a second. Bengals at Steelers, backup quarterbacks there. And then the Bills at Chargers. That line has fluctuated a little bit. A big line for the Bills headed to L.A. There are the records for Pete Prisco and Brady Quinn. Pete now with a 2-game lead. Pete Prisco. What happened?
You know what?
Come from behind win.
When the leaves turn brown, I told you I'd be wearing the crown. That's all it was.
No, when the leaves,
What?
first off, the leaves don't turn brown in South Florida where we live. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I'm putting you put the kibosh on me a few weeks ago. Also, the last time Amanda actually hosted, it's been a downhill decline since then.
You're blaming her.
Well, I'm hoping now that she's back hosting, she brings good luck.
Okay,
That's what I'm hoping.
Hold on. I am going to say this. So I went to that Eagles-49ers game. Loss. And every game since has been a loss.
So you mush Brady.
Yeah.
And I mushed the Eagles.
Wow. Okay.
So it's probably my fault.
This is where you bring good luck.
You know what?
Now. This is
the
the last 3 weeks.
Amanda, this is the time of the year where Brady starts looking for excuses, blaming everybody else.
Hey, how about
I got
this guy's excuse about
the
best bets right now, huh? How about your best bets?
They're terrible.
Let's hear the excuse.
They're awful. No, there's no excuse. They're awful. I can
You
admit
have to
it.
lay it on the line. Pete Prisco can't deliver. That's all we know. That's all we know.
He's in the lead.
I'm in the lead.
Not his best bets.
Doesn't
He's
matter.
awful.
It doesn't matter.
Now he's starting to point to best bets.
No, everything you say, it's all
We're going to get into picks. But technically, doesn't that mean your picks have overall been
much better? Yes, because I get.
Even though your best bets
Is it
were
over
bad?
Is it over?
No, it's not over.
Okay, we're in the fourth quarter. Let's go.
No, it's not over. You said it was over 3 weeks ago. Now it's not.
I've never said that.
Are we in
Don't
the
be
2-minute drill yet, or are we just in the fourth? We're just starting the fourth quarter. Okay, we're starting the fourth quarter. Let's get our picks for the game. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. Saints and Rams going at it. Very interesting. If the Saints win, 79% chance to make it in the postseason. If they lose, 26%. And Rams, 74% if they win, 12%. So all on the line for these two teams. Saints favored by 4.5. Brady.
Yeah, very different, though. You know, Rams looking for a wild card spot. Saints have to win in order to keep pace with the division because they're not going to be able to make it as a wild card team, most likely, based on how the rest of the NFC looks. But in this case, this late in the season, the short week, to me, it always plays a huge advantage for the home team. In this case, the Rams, too, who have been playing extremely well, especially since Kyron Williams has been back. I think the Saints defense is going to have a hard time stopping him, both running and catching the football. And Matt Stafford, too, has quietly had a really solid year despite all the things that are going around him. Now, my only concern is the line looks a little big. It's a little inflated here. I'm going to lay the 4.5 points. I don't feel great about it, though. Derek Carr looked more efficient, looked better last week in the passing game. We'll see where this thing ends up. I'm going to lay the 4.5 points. Not overly confident in this week's pick.
And I'm on the other side, which I love. Right out of the gate, I'm on the other side. There's nothing better than that because, you know, either I get a text from Brady saying, I beat you today, or we don't hear from him for 3 days, like last week. Didn't hear from you until Sunday. Isn't that correct? Yes, indeed. I'll take the Saints. I'll take the Saints. I think the Saints are going to hang around this game. I don't think they win it. And you're right. Matt Stafford's having a phenomenal year. But I do think Carr showed a little bit more last week. The defense played much better. I think they'll play better here. I think it's a field goal game. I'll take the 4.5.
I like the under, too. I think it'll be a lower scoring game.
I like when Pete is delivering his picks and he just compliments himself in the middle of it. It's a beautiful thing.
Here's the thing. He has to compliment himself because no one else compliments you.
That's not true. You're doing very well.
I'm in the lead.
You're for now.
Winner right now.
All right, we get Bengals at Steelers coming up on Saturday here. Bengals favored by 1.5, coming in on a 3-game winning streak. Steelers 3-game losing streak. We have 2 backup quarterbacks going at it. What do you think, Brady?
Yeah, look, Jake Browning's played really well, and they've got a bounty of weapons. You know, Jamar Chase is day-to-day. That gives you a lot of concern. And the defense for Pittsburgh hasn't been playing quite as well, so that gives you a lot of concern, I think, if you're a Steelers fan. I'm going to take the 1.5, though, in the home underdog here, and in part because it's probably going to be Mason Rudolph. There's an outside shot. Maybe it would be Kenny Pickett. Either way, I think Pittsburgh figures this out. And I think maybe you see one of those tough games for Jake Browning where everything right now has been pretty phenomenal so far. He's pretty fired up. A lot of emotion went into that win over the Vikings last week, given his history with the Vikings. This one, a little different. I think the Steelers get it together. I'm going to take the 1.5.
This is the Rick Spielman revenge game. because remember he tore into, he basically said Rick Spielman let him go, and he ripped him for the Vikings letting him go and leaving him in the hotel. So now Jake Browning becomes Jake Browning again. Look, it's 4 games. Usually a backup quarterback has 3 good ones and 1 bad one, and then he'll have a really bad one. It becomes who he is, and this is who he is. He's not going to play well on the road in a division game. I'll take this. Look, I don't think Mason
How do you rope Rick Spielman into a game, an AFC North battle?
Because last week he went after the Vikings.
I know he went after Rick's top 30.
It's a revenge game. It's a revenge game.
To be fair, Rick on his segments about something totally irrelevant will always bring you into it.
That's good. I like it. But we
have
to bring Rick Spielman into this one. But Jake Browning will become Jake Browning on the road division game. Not that I love Mason Rudolph like some people did entering the draft, but he'll play better. I will take the Steelers at home.
Who's that?
You. Didn't you like him?
No.
No. Chris Trapasso liked them. That's who it was.
All right, moving on with our weekend games here on Saturday. Bills at Chargers. This is interesting. You have the Bills coming off that very big win against the Cowboys. Look, they put everything into that game. It's a big number. Chargers' first game without Brandon Staley. Brady's making fun of me with my delivery here. Sometimes you get these teams that are very energized after they lose their head coach.
The Chargers just fired their head coach. They've got a backup playing quarterback. I mean, this has been a team that's underachieved.
Are you going with all these points? All these points?
I'm going to lay all the points because, and this is a pick we talk about throughout the course of the year. I won't feel as bad if I miss on this pick and the Chargers can keep this close or even find a way of winning, because I would feel worse if I took the points and the Chargers, I'd be thinking, what the heck was I thinking? Like the Chargers are looking on to next season. Where do they go for a vacation in LA in the offseason?
They're going down to Cabo.
Yeah, Cabo, Hawaii?
Cabo. They're in Cabo already.
Okay.
They got 1 foot in Cabo and 1 foot on the playing surface.
The reality is, though, the defense is underachieved. I think the way this offense is clicking for Buffalo right now, they'll find the mismatches. They'll create enough big plays to lay a big number. And the defense is playing a lot better, too. I just don't trust Easton Stick and their ability offensively to be able to combat what I think the Bills are going to be able to do in this matchup.
By the way, Staley's already in Cabo, in case anybody's wondering. He already made his way down there. Look, sometimes you get the little bump from the interim coach. I don't think that's...
Are you going with the Chargers then?
No, hell no. Easton Stick? No, no way. And I think the Bills are playing really good football offensively. Joe Brady's really energized that group. But more than that, the defense is playing better. The Chargers are terrible on defense. I think they throw the ball around in this one a little bit. And Josh Allen will complete more than 7 passes this week, probably about 20. They put a big number up on them. They blow them out.
I worry about the Chargers offensive line, too. If they get down, they're one-dimensional, and all of a sudden they unleash those pass rushers. That's what I worry about, too, in this one.
And there's no looking ahead because they got the Patriots next week, and they're in must-win mode. So I like it.
That line opened up around 14. Would you have taken it that high? You still feel comfortable with it?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they handle.
Just curious. Taking a look at their picks so far, I don't know if this is good or bad that you guys agree on 2 of them, both going with the Steelers to cover and the Bills, even the big number 12.5 in LA. However, they're on opposite sides when it comes to the Saints at the Rams. Welcome back to HQ, presented by Penske. Week 16 picks with Pete Prisco and Brady Quinn, taking a look at the 1 o'clock slate on CBS. A lot of good games, but we're going to begin with the Browns at the Texans. Texans opened up as a 2.5-point favorite, but that line is switched in favor of the Browns with news that C.J. Stroud, still in concussion protocol, may not play. The total on this one, 40.5. Pete Prisco will give you first say here.
Yeah, I was on the Browns whether he played or not. I think I like what I've seen from this team. Kevin Stefanski is not getting the due for the job he's done this year, and he should be in Coach of the Year conversation. 26% of their salary cap not playing. Quarterback, 4th quarterback, picked him up off the scrap heap. He's my age, and yet they're winning games. I give them a lot of credit. I give Kevin Stefanski a lot of credit, and I think they're going to find a way to go in there with their defense and with Flacco hitting some big shots down the field to win this game. I like the Browns.
I love where the Browns are at right now. I mean, they're going wacko for Flacco here in Cleveland with the way
they weren't for the first 3 quarters last week.
Have they said that on air?
And guess what? There's still a 4th quarter, much like our picks for this season.
Okay.
There's still a 4th quarter how this works out. So you can make that sort of comeback. He had a phenomenal 4th quarter. So the reality is he's perfect for what this team needs right now. And really, I think in this matchup, too, because the Texans' defense, they've been good against the run. Their pass defense, not so much. It allows Flacco, I think, to create enough big plays, spread the football around, not allow them to load up the box, where I think Cleveland on the road can cover this number. And look, D'Amico Ryans made a big-time gamble last week going to Case Keenum over Davis Mills, who, had come in as the backup previously. That's kind of who we thought, might be in there, if not C.J. Stroud. And Keenum went in and found a way to get a win and delivered. I think this is a much greater task, though, going up against this Browns defensive front.
Agreed.
You guys have now agreed on all but one game so far.
Yeah, that's never a good
Just
thing.
FYI. And you also agree on this next one.
Well, you know what I'm going to do in the next 3 weeks is agree on everything so I win.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you're going to be looking at his paper after you yell at him all the time. So you guys agree on this next one. Seahawks to Titans here. Titans have now been eliminated from the postseason. Seahawks getting that comeback win over the... Was it a comeback win? Over the Eagles? Yeah,
yes.
It was a back and forth for a little bit. And both of you going with the Titans in this one.
Yeah, they're a different team, different animal at home, and bottom line. And look, I know there's a little uncertainty for Derrick Henry about his future and what that may look like in the future, but Will Levis is playing some good football. I think Mike Vrabel, too, has a lot of pride in the way he's built up this team, this organization, that, they're going to win even though their postseason aspirations are done. They're still going to go out there and play their best, defend their home turf. And for the Seahawks, to me, they're just so inconsistent. It's a great win at home last week. Also another team I worry about coming across the country to Central Time Zone, how they're going to end up kind of showing out and playing. And I think the Titans can find a way in this one to not only keep it close, maybe even outright win. So I'd take the 2.5 points here.
Well, Derrick Henry was awful last week. He looked like a guard running, and so I think his days in Tennessee are over. But he can still get it going, I think, for a game or two. Will Levis, we don't know if he's going to play or not. It could be Tannehill, which would be interesting as well. But I'm with you. I think the inconsistency from Seattle will show up here, and it's a long trip, early game. That's a tough thing for Seattle. I think coming off the big win, they come down a little bit. I think the Titans find a way to win the game.
You have the Seahawks, one of 5 7-7 teams right now trying to make it into the playoffs in the NFC. Let's go to Colts and Falcons here. Falcons making another quarterback change. We talked about how they're probably looking now for a quarterback in the draft, benching Desmond Ridder, going with Taylor Heineke in this one. They're a 1.5-point favorite, though, at home, Pete.
And they're probably going to be looking for a coach after the year as well. I think they're going to be big changes.
Said for Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
Let me ask this, why? I mean, here's the only thing I'll say in Arthur Smith's defense, because I think there's a little... The preseason over-under win total is 9.5 in most cases, and I thought that was a bit high for a team that went 7-10, 7-10. They went into this season with Desmond Ridder as a starter, and pretty early on in the season, I think they realized he wasn't going to end up being the answer at that spot. But this is still a relatively young roster, still building it. I think if you find that right guy behind center for them, they've got the pieces to be really effective. They're 6-8. They still have a shot. They could win out. Who knows how the rest of the season is going to go?
If they win out, then they'll make it.
But my point is this, though, is I don't know if he's at the top making that decision on who their quarterback is. If he's not, I don't know why he has to fall and take the blame for doing the best he can with what he's been given.
This is a rare where the quarterback defender has become the coach defender. That's a little different.
I'm trying to ask the question of, you made the statement, you said he's getting fired.
I think he's got, I just, when the owner, Arthur Blank, comes out and says we're going to reevaluate after the season, that basically
What do you expect him to say?
Well, they basically say, you don't say it if you're not going to get rid of them. You don't say it.
I think he took a very measured approach with what he said.
They lost to Carolina. I just got the feeling he's going to go. Now, whether he's responsible for Desmond Ridder being the starting quarterback, that's a whole nother issue, but I think he's ultimately going to pay the price. And this is a game they have to win. We know that. I'm taking Atlanta. I think they will win. I think they're going to, again, I'm going against Gardner Minshew. I did have him last week.
You understand, Jack, we need to keep a tab on this. Gardner Minshew has eaten Pete's lunch every single, he's literally shoved Pete in a locker every time you bet against him.
I had the Colts last week and you had the Steelers.
Every time you bet against him, he literally shoves you in a locker.
Well, against him, yeah.
Yes.
He does. He does.
Exactly.
But I have the Falcons.
And that's why I'm taking the Colts in this. I'm taking the other side. Gardner, come on, baby. Let's go. Because I want to see him prove you wrong. He has so far this entire season. You don't give him credit. He's playing some good football. I don't have much faith right now with where the Falcons are offensively when you have to keep swapping quarterbacks. I think Arthur Smith's a good play caller. I think they have a lot of good pieces. I think the Colts defense can stand up against them. And I think Gardner Minshew in a tight game can find a way of not only just covering here, but winning this.
I mean, I will say, if you got the scales out, Minshew wins the scales with Heineke. I mean,
let's see it.
But
then you're still waffling.
You're
still waffling.
Well, no, he wins. Minshew wins. Okay. It's not like that. It wins.
I think we should get you like a Gardner Minshew outfit at the end of the season.
No.
We can find some way to put a bet on
Let's
that.
go, Gardner.
Look, you think the Falcons might have a coaching change this offseason. You also think the Packers could potentially, despite what Matt LaFleur says when it comes to their defensive coordinator here, Packers a 4.5-point favorite on the road taking on the Panthers, who their team would like to see them keep losing, or the Bears fans, I should say, would like them to keep. What is his face?
I don't get this. I don't get a chance to see Pete's picks.
I don't have that pick. That's
Are you
I have
sure?
the Packers. Whether they put.
Are
that
you
down.
switching right now?
No, I'm not. I have the Packers.
Are you sure?
I know. I wrote the picks out. I know what I have.
I'm just saying, this is. I don't get a chance to see him till right now, so I'm just now seeing his pick.
Look.
So you're not going to the Panthers?
No, and here's why.
Not even a cover.
The Packers' defense is terrible. But there's one solution to any bad defense, a 5'9" quarterback who can't see the field.
Oh, man.
And so I think the Packers' defense will play better, and I think they'll find a way to win this game. So the Packers are my pick.
Okay. I'm laying the points here with the Packers, too, on the road. It was a good win for Carolina, finding a way in the end during a rainstorm, everything else that was going along. But the reality is this offense has struggled. They struggle to create big plays. It feels like every drive has to be a 10-plus play drive in order to find ways of winning football games. It's a tough world to live in right now. So I think Jordan Love, the Packers, they get back on track. They get a good win. They cover this number, 4.5 on the road here, assuming the weather, too, is going to be better than what we saw last week.
I know Pete's answer to this. We had Rick Spielman and Ryan Wilson talking on HQ about their quarterback of the future. Would it be Bryce Young or Will Levis? Both of them, Brady, taking Bryce Young. We know what side Pete's on. What about you?
I was a big believer in Bryce Young. I still am a believer in Bryce Young. I think it just needs more time. And so, yeah, I would still pick Bryce Young at this point. I don't give up on any of these guys as quickly as he does.
I'm not giving up on him. I didn't think he was better than him when he went to the draft. I still don't think he's better.
All right, we got to speed up our time, which is also partly my fault. Lions and Vikings here. Lions can clinch the NFC North with a win. They're favored by 3 on the road, Pete.
I'm surprised we agree on this one. I thought you were going to go the other way. I think the Vikings were terrible on defense last week. I think Flores will get that group back playing well this week. I think they'll slow the Lions a little bit, and they will move the football against the Lions defense. Lions defense played well last week. I don't think they'll play as well. I'll take the Vikings. I think they win the game.
Okay, well, I'm taking the Vikings into 3 points here. Look, you talked about the defense. I'm going to talk about the offense. I think there's a chance, too, for them to be able to capitalize in because it's indoors, what could be kind of a track meet, back and forth type of game. I don't know that I can trust the Lions right now. I think that's the thing that bothers me. Maybe I'm scarred from how they performed a couple of weeks ago, and I still can't get that on the back of my mind, or it's because that's a tough place to play, divisional game on the road. But I'll take the 3 points here. I also think this game it's a little more higher scoring. I'm going to take the over, but I think it's going to be tight as far as the over-under is concerned.
Commanders and Jets, both of these teams have been eliminated from the postseason here, which is why we bet on these games, because it makes it more fun. Jets favored by 3. Commanders 0-4 against the spread in the last 4 games, Brady.
Look, I'm going to take the Jets and lay the points here. I think they'll be able to run the football. I think they're going to be able to stop, Washington's offensive attack. Defensively, the Jets have been solid. They've been good. The biggest question is, Zach Wilson got beat up last week. The offensive line looked awful. I'd be more concerned if Washington had the edge rushers that they got rid of earlier this season. I don't know that they're going to be able to exploit the Jets' offensive line the way we saw the Dolphins do last week. So I'm going to lay the 3 points over the Jets.
Is this the game we get Aaron Rodgers back? Isn't he coming back? Oh, wait, he's not coming back now, I guess. He's done. But whoever plays quarterback, and you know what?
Feel the need to say that?
He probably watched last week's game and said, there's not a chance in hell I'm playing behind that offensive line. They are really bad, you're right. But the best unit of all 4 units on the field is the Jets defense, and I think that ultimately is why they win the game. I'll take the Jets.
Pete and Brady starting to disagree on more and more games as we continue to get our Week 16 picks here. If you'd like more daily winning picks from our friends at the Early Edge podcast, who put that sports line science behind them, make sure to download and follow. CBS Sports HQ presented by Penske. We take a look at our late afternoon games and our Sunday night football game coming up. We're going to start with the Jags at Bucks, but we're going to tell you why Pete and Brady think the Dolphins need this win more than the Dallas Cowboys or Sunday night football game. Patriots at Broncos. Pats eliminated already from the postseason. So let's start with Jags at Bucks here. Bucks favored by 1.5. Jags have lost 3 straight coming into this one after starting 8-3. What's your pick here?
Yeah, it's a tough pick for me, honestly. I really waffled back and forth. Baker looked phenomenal last week, did something that no NFL quarterback's ever done in Lambeau. He's really hitting on all cylinders. I'm still suspect of the Tampa Bay Bucks pass defense. And I feel like if Lawrence plays, which we're assuming he's going to in this case, this early in the week, I think they'll be able to create enough big plays on the outside versus that defense. They've struggled to be able to stop anyone and get pressure. And so I'll take the 1.5 here. But this is more betting, too, on the fact that even though Tampa's in a desperate spot, they're still very much biting for the NFC South. So are the Jaguars. I mean, their kind of playoff season hopes are starting to fall by the wayside. So you can almost say that both these teams are in playoff mode right now.
Yeah, and again, if the Ravens are the best team in the AFC, Jacksonville hung with them last week and probably could have won that game if you don't blow 4 scoring opportunities in the first half, two missed field goals, the debacle at the end of the half where they should have spiked the football rather than run a play. But I think they'll be able to throw the football. I'm with you with Trevor Lawrence in the game, but I think Baker Mayfield will do some things as well. This might get a little loose, but I'll take Jacksonville as well.
I don't feel good about this one, though.
No, this is a tough pick. Yeah, tough game to pick.
Agreement on this one, agreement on the next one as well. Let's talk about Cowboys and Dolphins here. Dolphins favored by 1.5 at home. So you have the Dolphins with a 2-game lead in their division. The Cowboys were fighting for the top of that division. But I teased here, both of you say this game is more important for the Dolphins instead of the Cowboys. Why?
Yeah, I think this is a definitive moment for the Dolphins to be able to change the narrative. You know, that they can beat a good team like this, a team that I think a week ago we were talking about as maybe a Super Bowl contender and you're number 2 in your power rankings, if I'm not mistaken. And for the Dolphins, I think they need to beat a team like this at home. I'm just saying. You got to rank number 2. But again, they need to showcase they can do what they did last week defensively versus this sort of offense. And I know the Cowboys aren't as good traditionally on the road. That's been the knock on them. That's what we saw last week. This is an opportunity, though, for them to potentially showcase what they're capable of versus one of the better offensive teams, a guy who was in the MVP race in Dak Prescott. The concern is if Tyreek Hill's not a part of it, can they do what they did last week offensively, where you get those big plays that Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert goes off. Tyreek Hill's not at practice or he isn't practicing today. So that's a big concern at this point, but I'll lay the 1.5 here with the Dolphins. I think they get it done at home.
I think they get it done at home, and they're going to get it done whether Tyreek Hill's in the game or not, because they're going to just mash them. The Dallas run defense is terrible. It just what Buffalo did to them last week was awful, and I think Miami, we know they know how to run the ball, and they will run the football here to keep that offense off the field. I like what I saw from Miami's defense last week. They're getting better on that side of the ball. I'll take Miami. It is a big proving game for both teams, but really for Miami. And you know what the Cowboys are doing? They're
back-to-back road games.
Sorry. Yep.
Excited about it.
Right.
I knew where you're going. So
we get Cardinals and Bears also Sunday afternoon here. Cardinals eliminated. Bears have a less than a 1% chance to make the postseason, so they're basically eliminated. That said, Bears favored by 4.5 in this one. Is Justin Fields playing for his job?
Well, you're always playing for your job in the NFL.
Okay, but you know what I mean.
That's the reality of the answer.
Between them drafting a quarterback and not.
Every single player. That's up for Ryan Poles to decide what he wants to do. If I was in his shoes, I would keep Justin Fields. I continue to build out around him. Now, I know that comes with a contract extension, but I don't know that that's in the immediate future. I think you can still play some of this stuff out and see how things go. But look, Justin Fields has played well. He's elevated the level of play of the guys around him, too. I think once they've given him a little extra help, the offensive line playing better helps him play better, and the defense has been playing better. So this number's a little bloated to me. I'm going to take the risk, though, and I'm going to lay the 4.5 points. I know you're on the other side of this because you like what you've seen in Arizona this year, and I don't disagree with that. But I'm betting on Fields. I think not that he's thinking about playing for his job, but I think he's feeling more confident in how he's seeing the game and how he's playing out there on the field.
By the way, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, a bunch of other players just called and said they're not playing for their job this week, in case you're wondering.
Every week
you're playing for your job. I don't think those guys are.
So the top 0.1%, is that what you're saying?
No, there's a lot of guys
who are playing. 0.1%?
Okay. I don't think Miles Garrett's playing for his job.
There's about 2,000 players. There's about 2,000 players in the NFL.
Quarterback player coach speak is what you went into. We're going into reality right here. They're not playing for their jobs. But you know who is playing for his job? Justin Fields is, and I'm with you. We agree on that. He should be the quarterback next year. I think he's done enough to be the quarterback, but he's not going to play that great in this game. This is going to be a lower scoring game. I really like what I've seen from the Bears defense, by the way. I think a lot of young players are growing up. Watch out for the Chicago Bears next year, okay? Early notice. They're going to be much better. I think they use their draft capital to become a better team. But in this one, I'm going to take the Cardinals because you're right. They will hang around.
The interesting thing is you keep talking about like Fields. Fields has been the storyline. What about Matt Eberflus?
Yeah.
Do we know that he's safe?
Right.
Is there not a scenario where Fields is the quarterback, but it's maybe not with the same head coach? And you kind of wonder how that's going to be viewed as well.
Okay, Patriots at Broncos coming to us on Sunday night here. Pats eliminated from the postseason. Broncos, after they lost last week to the Lions, going from 40.9% down to 17% to make the postseason here. Both of you agree on this one.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Pete agrees with this, but the Patriots have made improvements, I think, offensively, and we've seen the flaws, too, of the Denver Broncos defense now start to rear its ugly head back, and the offense having a hard time keeping pace. So because of that, I think the Broncos win this game, but I think the Patriots can keep it within that number. Maybe it's a 3-4 point win sort of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and take the 6.5 points in the Patriots. I think you got to like what you've seen out of Bailey Zappi as he's continued to develop the more he's played. At least give me a little more hope that their offense can make some plays.
I'm with you, and I think their defense has played really well. And the one thing that the Patriots really do is stop the run. And we know the Broncos want to run the ball to kind of get that offense going. I think if they stop the run, they'll have success limiting that offense. It's a closer game. I'm with you. Denver wins, but it's tight.
All right, about half and half with agreement there between Pete and Brady. Taking a look at their picks. Brady, we didn't talk a lot about totals in this one, but you have a pick on a lot of totals here. Which one do you feel most strongly about?
Well, actually, the one that we're not showing up there, I've got the over of the Patriots and Broncos. I think there'll be enough scoring to hit a 34.5.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You like the over in that game, huh?
Of what, 34.5? Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Doesn't take much, bud.
All right, guys.
Can we put that in as one of your best bets?
Well, you get my best bet later on the show.
Okay. All right.
CBS Sports HQ presented by Penske. Here are your Christmas Day games on Monday. You got 3 of them. And I would say, like, in Week 16, there's some okay games. These are more fun, at least.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
Wow, you're in the spirit.
Excited.
You are.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, Brady.
Santa's coming for the girls, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Santa's coming for everyone, Pete.
Yeah.
Everyone out there.
Oh, you got a guy. You got a little man, too. I
You got a little
forgot.
guy, but Santa's coming for everyone out there. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's get our picks for our Christmas Day games here, starting with Raiders at Chiefs, 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS here. Kansas City, they've actually not clinched a playoff berth. They can clinch that. They can clinch the AFC West with a win, but it is a big number from a betting perspective. 10, you land on those points?
It's a big number for a divisional game. The way Kansas City's been playing, you just get all the feelings that, man, I don't know if they can cover. The offense isn't quite as explosive. The wide receivers have struggled. Defensively, they've been good, though. This is where they start to excel into the playoffs, and I'm so thankful that Pete has bit into this number, and he's scared off because it's a big number in a divisional matchup. This is where the Chiefs start to turn it on now. Every team's got their moment. This is that moment for the Chiefs. You lay the 10 points. You don't worry about it. They're going to take care of business in this one.
And normally I would agree with you.
But
I think the Raiders' defense has made big strides, and I think Crosby can make enough plays in this game to limit that offense. We know the Chiefs' defense played really well.
And to your point, the tackles haven't played great for the Chiefs.
No, they have not. They've been, in fact, that's been part of the problem with the offense. So I think they'll keep them in check a little bit. It's going to be closer than the 10. Chiefs win, but it's going to be closer than the 10. I'll take the Raiders.
Did you see the cigar after the game?
This
yeah, I love it.
Hey,
You
clip
loved
this,
him,
save this for next week, Jack.
Why didn't you make the Chiefs your best bet if you love it so much?
Maybe I did.
No, you didn't. I looked.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's move on here. Giants and Eagles. The Eagles going into this one with 3 L's in a row. This is, look, it has to be a get-right game for them. By the way, are the chicken cutlets cooked? Like, are we done with the Tommy DeVito love here?
Well, he wants them to be done with it. I mean, the bottom line is I'm not saying it's become a distraction, but I think at some point, like, you want it to be about football, not about all the other stuff off the field. You're starting to see all these different things that are popping up off the field. So let's talk about what happened on the field, because it didn't look good last week versus the Saints. And that's the reality, is this offense is going to struggle versus what I think is a good defense. I don't know if Tommy DeVito can exploit the weaknesses in the secondary. It's a big line divisional game, but at some point, Philly's going to get this thing back on track. I think this is that moment for them. The Giants' defense has played well, but I think they'll score enough to cover the number.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned the defense. If that defensive line does what I think it can do against the offensive line, it's going to be tough for Tommy DeVito, whether that's secondary. The secondary's been terrible across the board. Even when Slay was in there, they've been really bad. But that defensive line can really get after Tommy DeVito, and I think they'll find a way to cover this number. Look, when your quarterback comes out and starts questioning commitment, I think they'll get refocused here, and they'll play much better. I'll take the Eagles as well.
Christmas night, we get Ravens and 49ers, potential Super Bowl matchup. Would this be your Super Bowl matchup right now if you had to pick the 2 teams?
I think you'd have to. They look like the 2 best teams right now. So it's a little Christmas gift for us. It's kind of nice. Thank you, the NFL.
I don't know if people can see it, but there was a full-on week from Brady. 5.5, 49ers favored at home, Pete.
I love this, everything about this game. I love violence. Christmas night violence.
So you think Die Hard was a Christmas movie, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, violence.
Die Hard was a Christmas movie.
It was a Christmas movie. And this is going to be a bloodbath. These 2 teams are going to get after each other, they're going to hit, and it's going to be like the old school football, which I love. But the 49ers have the best offense, and there's no doubt that the Ravens, yeah, they're physical, but they have problems at times on defense. We saw that a couple weeks ago against the Rams. I think Brock Purdy is going to state a case to be the MVP of the league. I'll take the 49ers minus the point.
That's a great point, because in this game, too, kind of lost in that narrative is the winner most likely will be catapulted into the lead for the MVP, whether that be Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson, or give some love, too, to Christian McCaffrey.
Yes.
But the bottom line is, two teams love to run the football in a different way, right? Lamar Jackson, part of it in Baltimore. But Brock Purdy, not so much. It's more Kyle Shanahan's system of how he wants to utilize their personnel, their sets, their formations to find edges. And who's more successful at stopping the run, to me, obviously, is going to ultimately end up winning this game. And I think it's going to be San Francisco. They're tough to beat at home. I think they're going to have a schematic advantage in this one. So I'll lay the 5.5 points here with San Fran. They look like, by far and away, the most consistent and the best team when healthy, which they are right now.
And as you mentioned, 2 MVP favorites in this one. Brock Purdy is ahead right now, somewhere around -200, -250. Lamar Jackson around +400, +430 or so. Best bets for Week 16. Brady, yours is actually in this game.
I'm staying right there in that game. I'm laying the points with the San Francisco 49ers. I think they're a class above everyone else. You and I were kind of talking during the break. We talk about your power rankings. I joke about them. But one thing we agree on is San Francisco looks to be the best team. And then it's kind of everyone else right now. Now, this is a proving point for Baltimore, but I just don't see it on the road. I think it's going to be a tough environment for them.
They get a break because Baltimore's playing back-to-back road games, which is tough. And this team, the way they're playing, look, I almost took them as my best bet. I'm glad I did, because I want to be opposite of different than you.
Why? I'm actually making my best bets. You're not.
Yeah. I know, but I want to try and gain. I want to gain more ground, though. I'm going to take the Vikings as my best bet. I think the Vikings are in a desperate mode right here, and I think they'll play well at home. You're giving me 3 points for a team I think is going to win the game. I'll take it. Vikings are my best bet.
Vikings going against the Lions.
Yes, and by the way, if you're a Lions fan, feel good about that, because I have been awful with my best bets. Otherwise, I'd be beating you by like 10 games in this season.
Yeah. Keep talking. A lot of games left to pick.
Let's recap these final picks here for Christmas Day. Both going with the Eagles to cover a big number there, 11.5. They're on opposite sides, though, when it comes to the Chiefs and the Raiders. Pete, remind me, you said the Raiders. You think they're getting a lot better on defense?
I do. I think they're getting better. Max Crosby will be a game wrecker.
Both going with the 49ers to cover the 5.5 at home Christmas evening.